What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to some Cyber Realm. So today I'm going to be introducing you guys to a new video into a new series that I'm going to be starting for SAOMD. Now, before we get into the entire video, as you guys probably noticed behind me, that the scenery has changed. Yes, I have moved all my equipment to a new room, so now instead of looking at a dark space, I got some natural lightings over on this side, and everything is just looking great. So there's your answer as to where have I been for the last week or so. So before everything, I have to say a huge thank you to Zarenza for helping me out with this video. Without his help, this video would have never came to be, okay? It's impossible. As you guys know, my new account, or at least my account that I'm currently using right now, lacks a lot of the units. So without these units, I can't possibly test them. So Zarenza helped me out in that aspect. So thank you very much, Zarenza. Give him a shout out in the Discord channel. If you see him in my Discord channel, give him a pat on the back, give him a thumbs up. Anyways, another note, I have started my new Patreon account. So I don't really know where I'm going to go with this. I don't really actually know. I have a couple perks, so if you guys want to further support the channel, you know, get a new perk or a couple of behind the scenes videos or exclusive content, do check it out. And yeah, let's just roll into the video. Is registered fairly simply in SAOMD. It's determined by either dragging or swiping on your screen, whichever your mobile device may be. So as you guys can see on screen right now, dragging at a certain angle will move your character in that direction. The longer you drag, the faster the character will move. Initially at a walking speed, and then the longer you drag, you will end up sprinting. So that is a very crucial fact. There is, however, a maximum speed cap, so you will sprint, and basically that is your fastest speed. You won't go any faster. As you guys can see on the screen right now, I am now swiping on my screen. That initiates a dash in any direction of my choosing. However, notice that if I swipe too vertically, it will initiate a jump instead. That is important. Jumps can actually face any way that you want, so that means you can continue to attack in mid-air, but that's for another video. As you can see, it's around an angle of roughly 20 degrees from the top to the left or to the right. As long as you steer away from those two zones, you will have no trouble dashing. Following on, we have one more type of movement that isn't commonly used, as you guys just saw on screen. That is the auto approach movement. That's only available when you have the auto approach enemy setting turned on, and it will auto path your character to the nearest target or to the next objective. Now, one thing to note is that running and dashing each have its own unique applications. As it turns out, dashing can arrive at a target at a much faster rate than running can. That does not mean to say, I'm not saying that dashing is always the better one, because when it comes to precision movement, such as dodging particular traps set on the ground by certain enemies, you want to precisely move your character, so you want to use running or dragging your screen so that your character can move precisely as how you want it to. And when it comes to dashing, you will always dash a certain amount of distance, no matter how far you drag across the screen or how far you swipe across the screen. You will always dash a set amount of distance. That means if you want to dash a short jump, yeah, it's not happening, buddy. You're gonna run right into that trap. So, as you probably would have guessed, that there's other applications for dashing to come in handy. They're uniquely handy when it comes to bosses with fast attacks. So if a boss or an enemy that initiates an attack with very little time to avoid, you kind of want to dash instead of running, because the time it takes for you to arrive at a set destination, as I mentioned earlier, it's faster to do dashing. So dashing, what happens is, if you notice, it initiates an animation to dash to a destination quickly. However, there is a short delay before you can dash again. So that delay, or the ending animation of a dash, is actually what drives on the dash timer. But you actually arrive at the destination at a far faster time frame than your normal running. So yes, when it comes to dodging skills or attacks, you might want to use dash. But to avoid traps or be precise with your movement, you want to use running. So that concludes the beginner section of my tutorial. Now, for you veteran players out there, I have a couple of unique trivial facts that you may be interested in. Okay, and beginners, you're also welcome to listen and join us in this wonderful trivia that I have discovered, spent an entire hour of my life on. But anyways, some of you guys who's played SAOMD for a longer period of time may have noticed or unconsciously registered in the back of your mind, some characters actually move faster than the others. That is actually varied by their weapon class. So as you know, daggers, one-handed swords, assault rifles, bows, characters such as that each have its own movement speed. Now I have done quite a few tests, both running and dashing, to figure out exactly what's putting them where. So the rankings are as such. So if we're talking about just running, coming in at first place, we have rapier units coming at a whopping 2.636 seconds for running across the map. Now this is the fastest time on my record, but I'm going to ignore millisecond, or at least a tenth of a millisecond. I'm going to ignore that. However, I will record up to, just a single millisecond. So moving on, we have the second place tied with bow characters and assault rifle characters. That was kind of shocking. I didn't expect assault rifle characters to be quite up there, but bow characters with a 2.769 seconds, while AR units have 2.786 seconds. So a little bit difference, but once again, I'm not counting it. There could be some marginal errors. As in the frames didn't quite register, maybe phone was lagging at the time, so there's all these errors, so I'm not going to count for the milliseconds, so they tie for second place. Third place has been taken up solely by dagger units. I actually thought daggers were supposed to be the fastest, since they're just a tiny piece of metal, but surprisingly they come in third place with 2.819 seconds. That comes in third. Fourth place is tied between three different classes: dual blades, one-handed swords, and shield blades. Now, one-handed sword and shield blades are pretty much the same thing. I kind of expected that right from the get-go, but in all honesty, I really think a shield would have weighed you down a little more, right? But one-handed sword coming in at 3.003 seconds. So you can just basically sum it up to 3 seconds. And followed by that, we have shield blades coming in at 2.986 seconds. And this is actually slightly bit faster than one-handed sword, which is controversial to my initial point that having a shield along with a one-handed sword is going to weigh you down. So I'm surprised that they come in faster than one-handed sword, even if just by a couple milliseconds. Next one would be dual blade, also tied at 3.070 seconds. So once again, I'm not going to count the milliseconds, or sorry, tenth of a millisecond. So this is pretty much all on the same level. Coming in at fifth place, we have rod units with a 3.337 seconds. This one is actually a huge gap between our last competitor, so it's 0.3 of a second longer. That's quite a long time, to be honest. And with that, we also have a tie, I believe, with rod units with snipers. Snipers are actually heavy, and so I kind of expected this. They come in at 3.387 seconds, so I'm not quite convinced that having a rod and a sniper weighs about the same, but I digress. Moving on along, finally, I believe we have a lance unit who's coming in also tied with rod and sniper. Lance are coming in at 3.120 seconds. So yes, actually Lance is 0.2 of a second faster than rod or bow. So I would say actually, because I'm not counting the or like that specific, you guys could basically place them all at the same time. There could be a couple of frame drops somewhere there and there, so I might have not recorded the whole thing correctly. Now we're moving on to dashing. Here's the unique thing about dashing. Your running speed actually carries over to the distance that you can dash. So I'll make a comparison on screen in just a moment, but first let's take a look at the rankings. Number 1, shockingly enough, is not rapier. This is quite weird because I've tried to do multiple tests to get them accurate, and I can't figure out exactly what is making these differoences. So unless they have a random number generator which generates a random distance you dash to, this is a little hard. Maybe very likely it's my swipes. If I'm not swiping fast enough at every possible interval, then my character will dash a frame or two slower. So that could very well be the reason, but let's move on. Number 1 is bow. Has a 2.79 seconds to get across from one side of the map to the other. Number 2, unchallenged, is lance. Surprisingly, even though lance kind of came up as nearly the last place on our running board, dashing comes quite surprising. Comes in at second with 2.753 seconds. Now, third place is contested by 2 other characters, mace units and shield blades. This is quite shocking since one-handed swords isn't actually in here. So our shield blade dash time is 2.836 seconds, while our mace units dash at a speed of 2.853 seconds. We can assume that the one-handed swords also dash at the same pace. I don't actually have the data recorded, so do excuse me. I can only make an assumption here. Now, coming in at our 4th place, once again, 2 different weapon classes are contesting on 4th place, Rapier and Dagger. Now, this is actually more convincing. So Rapier units are dashing at a 2.97 seconds, and Daggers at a 2.953 seconds. So they're very close, so I neglect 10th of a millisecond, therefore they are tied for 4th place. 5th place is Assault Rifle units. This is a little tricky, I don't know why, but when I was trying to dash at the fastest rate possible, Assault Rifle units has these random pauses in between dashes. It's not because of my phone, I don't believe, and I'm pretty sure it's registering my dashes, so there's something going on with Assault Rifle units that's preventing me from being able to dash as smoothly as my other units. But I digress. Assault Rifle units coming in with 3.086 seconds. Coming at 5th place, we have Dual Blades with a dash speed or dash time of 3.153 seconds. So Dual Blades, apparently, 2 blades does weigh you down. Logic applies now. Tied for 7th, actually, Rod and Sniper with 3.220 and 3.287 seconds, respectively. This is not surprising. Since they were both the slowest in terms of running, I didn't find that out of place for them to be slower in dashing. Now, of course, I did mention that I was going to show you guys a clip of what I mean when I say that they dash at different paces. So on screen right now, you should be able to see our bow unit versus it up against our sniper unit. So as you can see on screen, that my bow unit actually dashes a bit further distance. I can't exactly say for sure that I didn't swipe at an angle, but for the most part, I think I kept it straight. So aside from, human marginal errors, this is the truth. This is it. So yeah, there is a speed to every single class, and depending on how you use it, there may be advantages, there may be disadvantages. So plan your characters out wisely. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'm probably going to be posting more of these guys coming up. So next one is going to be attacking, followed by guarding / parrying. So do check them out, guys. Leave me a comment down in the section below to tell me what you guys think of this guide. Is this helpful? Am I providing you with new insights to the game? Am I providing you with more information? And let me know, beginners, has this guide helped you at all into grasping the mechanics of the game? Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.